Yeah. All right. So we talked about getting punched in the mouth.
Yep.
And if T.O. keeps talking like that, I'm sure that his wife is going to come in and get him right there. But
No doubt.
the other team out west that got punched in the mouth was Arizona. I got a stat for you guys. I don't know if you know this. Arizona has lost at Colorado 5 straight times now that they've played there. The Pac-12 champion has lost at Colorado 5 out of the last 6 seasons. We talked about it on After Dark, T.O. That building, that place is a very difficult place to play on the second game of a 3-day road trip, right? The way the Pac-12 goes, you play Thursday, you're off, you play Saturday. Playing at the altitude, back-to-back games on the road, not an easy thing to do. Arizona learned that the hard way. They scored 26 points in the second half. They were outscored by 21 points in the second half, and they lost 79-63. Fanta, is Arizona a fraud?
No, they're not a fraud, but this is a reflection of the Pac-12's method of scheduling. I'm sorry, but this sets up your best team sometimes for failure.
Yep.
And that's what this did here. Arizona is not fraudulent for playing second time in 3 nights and losing to Colorado like they do every year. You probably have come to expect that.
Can I make one point really quick? The way that the WC scheduling works, Gonzaga played at San Francisco on Thursday and at St. Mary's on Saturday.
I'd rather play those two.
Do we see any similarities with what just happened here? Road games,
right.
2 out of 3 nights. It's tough. College basketball on the road is tough, man. It ain't no joke.
It is. It is tough. It is tough. And Colorado is a team with 19 wins on their season. So you're facing a formidable enough opponent in that span. Certainly St. Mary's is after San Francisco. But for Arizona, the thing about them that I look at with this game is that their guard shot a combined 2 for 9 from the field. And what's our top concern with Arizona? What they're going to get backcourt-wise in terms of efficiency, in terms of making plays happen for others without turning the basketball over. Their guard play, Kirk Kriisa had 5 assists in this game. He did have 5 assists in this game. He had 3 turnovers. They had 16 turnovers as a team. That's too much. Tired or not, second game in 3 days or not, we're playing fraud or not. Is Arizona a fraud? No, they're not. They're not. You don't get to 25-3 and become a fraud. But big picture wise, when we're talking about these teams at this point in the year, we're talking about their ability to win a national championship. That's what we're talking about. And in that regard, I just don't trust Arizona's backcourt enough. And that is my big picture concern with these Wildcats.
T.O., I do think that Arizona has some fraudulent tendencies. I'm not ready to call them a fraud, but I do think that if you look at the way that their season is kind of broken down, right? Who are their best wins? They've beaten UCLA, who is good, but do we really know how good UCLA is? They have beaten Illinois on the road, which is a very good win. I'm going to give them credit for that one. That is a great win. But then their next best win is what? Michigan? Is it Wichita State? Is it Wyoming? There's not a lot of great victories that you're going to look at and say, okay, that's proof right there that this is an Arizona team that can go out and win a national title. So I'm not saying that they're a fraud. I'm saying that there's some reasons that you can look at them and say, is the fact that they're sitting here at 25-3, top 5 in KenPom, top 5 in all these metrics, a combination of a weak schedule and the fact that they're able to run up the score on people because they play so fast.
Yeah, and the fact that when they can't get out and run, that really hurts them. And when they're not hitting shots, other teams can come back at them. Mm-hmm. And I think Colorado had something like 57 or 58 points in the paint. That tells me they were guarding nobody. And coming off a game in which they were playing Utah and Kirk Kriisa is going nuts, they're flying up and down the floor, and then they're going to Boulder on senior night. And here's the thing with senior night, it can go one of two ways. Guys can either be really excited to be there. They could be a little too emotional and sad. And then the building's half full. And then the other team comes in and sneaks them. It looked like the Boulder fans were ready to go. And the players were ready to go. And whenever Arizona's not hitting shots and their backcourt's inconsistent, they struggled matching up. But I guys, I'm going to attribute a lot of this to, altitude. Probably the smell in the building at Boulder, because I've heard a lot of reasons why the people go to Boulder is some of the medicinal. And
You're attributing that to the loss.
I'm attributing the medicinal.
Breaking news. According to Terrence Oglesby, Arizona lost because everybody on the team had a contact high from
they got secondhand medicinal.
Oh my God.
None of that is true. None of that is true. But the altitude part is true. Like, that's a hard thing. Go ahead, Fantas.
Well, to your point, like when you say that Arizona wasn't guarding anybody, Colorado had 8 assists. They had 10 turnovers. It's not like Colorado was revolutionizing offense here. They were getting to the basket at will. Mm-hmm. They took 64 shots in this game. 64 of them. You took 64 shots. You made 4 3-pointers in the game out of 64 shots. Like, that tells you how easy it was for Tristan da Silva and Jabari Walker to be able to get to the rim. And that's exactly what they did. And they hit a three
You know what
themselves.
The big thing is? Arizona, like Gonzaga, the way that they've kind of built their team is around dominating the paint, right? They're among the league, the national leaders in defensive 2-point field goal percentage and defensive effective field goal percentage. Colorado shot 27 for 49. They dominated the paint. And
another thing that Christian Coloco and Tubelis do so well, though, they get back on defense. Mm-hmm. And they didn't against Colorado. And not only that, the guards were having a hard time matching up because they were winded by the time they got back. And guys, I don't know if you watched the Utah game. I watched that. I was sitting there watching that game. I was like, holy cow, they are flying up and down the floor. And I'm not really sure anybody will be able to do anything with Arizona if they're playing with this pace.
Last thing about this one, though. So the triple bye in the WCC tournament is not what happens in the Pac-12 tournament. I will go on the record saying this. I do not think Arizona wins the Pac-12 tournament.
Ooh.
I don't. I have a gut feeling that league provides some weirdness at times, and it's out in Vegas, if I'm correct.
At times,
all the time.
Hey, can I ask you guys a question?
Always drunk.
Can I ask you a question?
They're not winning the Pac-12 tournament.
Does the Pac-12 still fly commercial?
I think a good amount of. I think some schools
or are they
still
flying
do,
private
right?
now.
Some do. I'm pretty sure that UCLA does. I think it was more just UCLA was the one that was the most evident one, but I don't think that they all. I think that there are some private flights involved in that, especially in the COVID era where you want to try to minimize contact with people as much as possible.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about you play at Utah, don't you fly to Colorado? And then so if you don't fly private, you got to get up, go through security the next day. And then after playing at altitude and then fly up even more altitude like that, you're going to be tired. I don't know if you guys ever done altitude training. It is brutal. You can't breathe. It's like every time it's like, and it's like you never get it back in your lungs. So it's hard. I don't know the answer to that. I don't have that many Pac-12 connections because I can't find too many people outside of Jeff Goodman that actually give a shit about the Pac-12 because nobody cares about the Pac-12 and not even their fan bases care about the Pac-12. So that's a true statement. Maybe like 4 or 5 Arizona fans. That's it.
Don't let Sean Miller hear that. He will not be happy.
He'll be okay.
He will not be happy.